we continue on with the tiebreaker extravaganza, heading on to Machi Esports versus Megabank Beyond Gaming. In terms of head-to-head, Machi hasn't been able to overcome BYG just yet, but they get another crack at it today. Before we go in deeper into the matchup itself, we do have to take time to thank our sponsors in CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber, our newest addition. So welcome back. Nice start. We just saw J-Team getting trounced a little bit by Boom Esports, and maybe that's a good signal for Machi that, hey, even though you were swept in the regular season, you can still come back and get one back.
Hey, third time's the charm, right? And I would say this is pretty good opportunity in the cards because, again, even though Megabank Beyond Gaming have been winning, their last couple of wins have been very, very shaky, I have to say. Even, especially in that loss against Hong Kong Attitude, this roster, it feels like the last couple of games they might have been trying out a couple new things, but I'm a little bit concerned if they try too many new things. This is a young squad. Confidence always plays a big part in these younger squads, and if you hurt their confidence like that, even if they somehow manage to get that second seed, I'm very concerned on how they'll look in playoffs.
I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think if you know you're kind of testing things out, then you can give yourself cut yourself some slack, but maybe that's why I'm not a professional player. On the other side, we do have Machi Esports coming in here. Another day, another hairdo for Jimien, this time all the way back. I like this one. Machi, they are the team, I think, with the most defined strategy that we have seen as we are blazing through to get into game today. We'll talk about most of the teams later. We do have the head-to-head matchup between the mid laner, Jimien versus Mawan. Now, in a vacuum, when these two teams have faced up against each other, it actually has been Mawan that has came out ahead with his set, with his, I believe it was LeBlanc, against Jimien's Silas and his Lucian.
While that might hold true, you can see that their gold differential at 15 is fairly comparable. Solo kills is really that highlight for Jimien. This man has been an absolute showtime attraction when it comes to PCS. He makes it all happen. He has a boatload of MVPs to go with those solo kills, and he'll look to step up his game once more and make third time the charm for his squad.
Definitely a much more flashy player, but the question is, can he get away with a pick that isn't countered? I feel like that has been the biggest problem with Machi Esports against Megabank Beyond Gaming. They like to play 1-3-1. Typically, they show their cards a little bit too early. Beyond Gaming just counter them out, and then Machi fall apart. They even lost in 26 minutes the last time they faced each other. So we'll see. This time, Machi, with side selection, is going to go onto the red side, which I think is a much more preferable side if you are going for 1-3-1.
I would definitely agree with the side selection here, or at least Machi falling into the red side definitely benefits them a whole lot. And for Megabank Beyond Gaming, I would expect that if you are going to be on blue side, you want to try and pinch and attack the jungle pool more often than not. Just try and put Gemini on the jungle that he's not going to be as comfortable with the matchup on. And starting with the Zen is definitely a good start for Megabank Beyond Gaming.
As they do roll around a couple of different picks. Think about the Aphelios after watching Wako's performance, and they are just going to lock it in. Oh, very interesting. We don't really see Aphelios first picked as much, especially with Ziggs open, and also Jin is available for Atlan, so
and the fresh
not
ban.
your standard draft phase.
Yeah, and the Thresh is banned, which is the classic partner for the Aphelios, which does also leave him exposed to a pick like the Lee Sin. If the Lee Sin ever gets behind him, he has to burn flash. He doesn't have that extra escape option. And then they go ahead, follow it up with this Ziggs pick. So for Megabank Beyond Gaming, you're looking at possibly trying to deny the Ziggs Leona combo, but if you go that route, then you have even less protection for the Aphelios, as Leona just wants to go in full-heartedly. And Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, they supplement this Aphelios with an Oriana. So already looking to take more of a, I would say, J-team approach to the game rather than a more aggressive approach, which definitely leaves a lot of openings for Machi to really take advantage.
Yeah, it does feel like BYG is trying to teach, you know? Let's preach about front to back and how to correctly play it. So, very interesting. I feel like this is a sort of a hard forced draft coming from blue side. It's just like, we want to play this. We don't care what you're going to throw at us. We're just going to lock it in. Machi, on the other hand, going for a couple comfort picks. And interesting enough, saving the mid lane pick until the very last one. So we're not going to really know what Jimin's going to play just yet. In the meantime, they go with the blind Jace. Also an interesting choice here, considering that, you know, Aurelia is still up, and you're going to have to ban a lot of champions to get that Jace to work.
Could potentially have a couple of flex options with the Lee Sin going into the top lane or into the mid lane. We have seen Rest take it as of late, I believe last week. So it's not like it's been that long ago when top lane or solo lane Lee Sin has been played. I believe Jimin also has picked this champion up in the mid lane. So there's definitely a possibility of some shenanigans when it comes to this draft phase. Camille and Wukong taken away by the side of Machi, and for the side of BYG, they've taken away the Syndra for their first one, and we'll see what they ban away for their second pick.
Taking away a lot of tempo champions on Machi's side.
Could be a Lucian really here.
Yeah, that's a big one. Potential great counter pick as well. And Akali is a champion that it gets locked in. We still see getting played across the board in the LPL, in the LCK. So a lot of people picking this one up, and will get locked in. Pretty weak early on, but still has that same highs as we've seen in the previous two patches. Beyond Gaming now have to go for their top lane and also select for themselves a support. Usually it's going to be the Braum, that champion's still up. And they might be going for double supports here as Tom Kench is locked in. Most likely for the top side. We'll see what the last pick is. Aurelia could also come out. So a few different options here.
Yeah, if this Tom Kench is going into that top lane, then we're looking at something like a Nautilus or a Leona is typically what they would go for here. Although I do like the look of something like a Karma here, because you do have to run at them champions in the Xin and the Tom Kench, but it won't be that pick. It'll be that Nautilus, who Kino has been pretty... He's been pretty coin flip on this champ. He's had some high moments and he's had very, very low moments. As was
we don't talk about
the Hong Kong Attitude game.
We don't talk about that game. That game never happened. I don't remember it at all. Was Kino even in that game? I'm not sure. Definitely was not too impactful. Machi, though, is going to lock in their combination once again, Ziggs plus Leona. Now, please do not get fooled by what we just saw from J-Team versus Boom Esports. Ziggs has a very high win rate against Aphelios. Not a lot of teams are willing to play this against the bot lane that Machi have selected for themselves. Though I will say that Doggo is probably the strongest laner, while Atlan not so much in terms of the laning in itself in the bottom side. So maybe they are willing to just go for the strength of Aphelios, but we do have a very strong late game front teamfight comp. On the other hand, what do you see out of this Machi composition?
I feel like
it's definitely difficult to pilot.
It definitely fits into the Machi playstyle though, right? Because you have strong solo laners, you want to shift yourself into a 1-3-1 at some point, and you just want to play around the playmaking power of your solo laners and just in general your top half, and allow Atlan to just contribute damage from long range. That's exactly what this composition is. We'll see how well it does, because you do have to navigate around the Tom Kench, who is going to be able to soak up a lot of this poke damage, who will be able to block for his front or back line here. And then it just becomes a matter of, well, you have to get creative with this Lee Sin. And if you are able to find those kicks, then this Akali is really going to come to life.
Yeah, there's a lot of good protection on the side for Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. I agree that, you know, Machi, it definitely looks like a one-shot combo. You have Atlan from very far away, Solar Flare from super far away, and then G-Man can just fly in. But it really does feel like a battle between who has the better defense compared to who has the better offense here. Offense for the side of Machi, defense for the side of Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. Excuse me. We are going to go on to the Rift and see if we get any shenanigans. Doesn't look like it. 3-man stack onto the top side, so Leon might get some help early on. Excuse me, Machi might get some help early on.
Yeah, Likai looking to get a little bit of cheese here. Of course, it is a Tom catch. So, you know, yeah, it's just going to be a ward placed. And one of the other benefits coming in from this Machi comp is going to be the fact that they do have a lot of good poke damage coming in from both the Jace and this Ziggs pick. And while they're going to be incentivized to build a little bit of magic resistance because of the dual threat of Akali and Ziggs, that does mean Lee Kai is going to be able to pump out a lot of damage. So look for him to land critical shock blasts before objective fights to then allow Machi to secure the objective without too much of commotion.
Right, we'll see if that comes into effect here as Liang just hard forces his way into the first brush. Lee Kai tries to get away, but still takes the tongue lash in the back. In the meantime, taking another look at the setup, we do have an extra TP on the side of Atlan here, so we'll be able to hard shove and even maybe take the tower after a successful gank. Both of the junglers, one side for Machi is going to get a leash here as Gemini gets some great help, and in the meantime, Busha heading towards the bot lane will not get any help, and Beyond Gaming will use that to create an early shove-in.
One of the big
Trading
benefits
back and forth here
of the Philios lane, or just Philios with any pairing here in this matchup, is the fact that level 1 you will be able to play very aggressive. You are going to be able to get level 2 first, and it's just about trying to utilize that advantage to gain as much power in this 2v2 before Ziggs gets to do what he does best, which is play around the rest of his team.
Oh, does find the hook onto Atlan. Ignite goes down. Atlan will stay relatively safe here. And that's going to be one summoner traded in by Beyond Gaming for not a whole lot. Atlan will be forced to TP. Meantime, Mawan still having fun with Akali in the early game. Definitely expected for him to get a bit of a lead. And in the top side, we do have Lee Kai getting off to a good start as well. So Kino just flashes in the thumbs up emote. He's likely going to go again for some of these hooks. See if he gets better luck this time.
Yeah, and now Atlan returns to lane with pretty much what he started the game with. 2 potions and a Doran's ring, but he is going to be missing that teleport. So if he gets hard punished again, then he's going to be running into some issues. In this mid lane, G-Man, as expected, is just kind of getting poked out non-stop. It's just a matter of getting to that level 6, building enough sustain, and also just having that extra kill threat. And then once Gemini also hits level 6, like, Mawan doesn't really get to play the game at that point because of how much execute damage is on both of these champs.
Yeah, Sonic Wave plus the perfect execution. Does seem like a pretty deadly combo. We'll see how Mawan can survive that. Meanwhile, in the bottom side, we have Atlan and Koala playing extremely safe. They've already lost the TP. They know that Husha is in the vicinity. They did spot him out. We got pings on the Krugs as well. So I don't expect the ganks to work here. They might be willing to drop some CS, but they should not die to this one. Meanwhile, taking a look at the top lane, Leon's actually just bouncing back perfectly fine here. Was down by quite a bit of CS, but afterwards he's still holding steady, and that's kind of bad news for the Jace. You usually want the Jace to be further ahead than this.
again, that kind of just funnels to how hard it is to punish a champion like the Tahm Kench here because of how durable he is, how much regen he has, and also just the anti-burst power he has with, of course, the great health. Maybe we'll see Lee Kai rush an early Serpent's Fang as a result, get that extra shred on shielding, and Gemini is going to pay a visit
come in
here.
just to push the wave out a little bit as Husha starts to open up onto him. Just trying to protect his mid laner, and probably don't want to go back on 5, rather stay around for 6.
He's going to lose a camp because of that, so some ramifications coming out as Machi tried to reset the wave. They're going to go for one more wave, but now Husha, he's going to try and capitalize.
Yeah, Husha, if he lands his W, can follow up directly with the Audacious Charge. G-Man does hit level 6. The W goes wide, but in comes Liang. Tahm Kench does find the initial bounce onto G-Man, but not enough damage to actually kill him. Very risky play that does end up paying off, actually, for Machi.
They burn the flash onto the jungler, so they get that advantage for themselves. They also pull attention away. As Kino tries to freeze a wave, and, well...
He wasn't even really trying that much, I feel like. He just rounded the corner and, like, oops.
He was a little bit hopeful. Oh.
Yeah, I think way too hopeful is the correct way to put that, as Koala might die here. First blood! Oh!
Okay.
Oh no. Can Ali get out of here? He doesn't have a flash, and Liang is coming in. It's actually going to be Maoan, the root from Dago, and down goes Machi's bot lane. Kino gave them a lot of hope, but that's, you know, they kind of choked on the copium.
Breathed a little bit too much of it there. I don't think it was copium, it was definitely more hopium there. And yeah,
it was hopium.
They fluffed. They definitely fluffed this execution. Kino goes just far enough, apparently, as he is able to drop the ignite, finish off the kill. Then Atlan, well, I mean, if you flash forward, no mana, doesn't leave you a lot of options trying to disengage out of that situation. So he has no other choice but to die there. And now just going back along the scoreboard, there's a big lead in this mid lane for Maoan. It's just a matter of how long can he hold on to the lead and how hard can he stretch this lead against the Akali pick.
Despite how bad the matchup is in terms of like solo queue stats, we haven't seen it in the PCS. Like, Ophelia seems completely fine as Liang is about to get the Devour onto Lee Kai. Lee Kai already underneath his own tower will still get gobbled up. Lee Kai down to less than 200 HP. But Liang doesn't have any more chase tools yet, and that's just the power of the Tahm Kench. He gets into melee range, he will smack you around.
No Trundle to take away those stats here as he absolutely bullies out Lee Kai. Lee Kai will have a little bit better scaling, at least in a different manner that a Tahm Kench provides here. Being able to just get access to the backline without really trying, as long as he is able to find those set-related shockwave blasts. And now for the side of Machi, they've drawn everyone up here. And they do have, again, that really nice terrain control you get from a Ziggs to deter them from collapsing it.
Fino coming in from one side, Death Charge already down. Moonlight Vigil doesn't land, but it doesn't matter. Koala should be going down. He does get his Zenith Blade onto the front line, though, and is able to get quite far away. Fusha with a great disengage onto Jimmy, and fortunately, Akali is not able to get a kill, and only Koala dies. Machi walk away, I believe, with the Herald here for one death on their side.
It's pretty much, it's essentially a 1-for-1 if Machi are able to get 2 plates off of it, because that's about the same amount of gold you're getting. And, well, the side of Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, they don't try and further that lead by trying to start out the Inferno Dragon. They are going to leave it up for a later play, which I would assume is coming sooner rather than later, as teleport advantage is up in that top side.
We're gonna take another look at this play right here. Initial abilities kind of missing in from Dago, and does buy Machi a lot of time, but the crucial thing is look at Husha and his disengage onto Jimmy, and Dago is so incredibly safe with that staggering blow and the Xin Zhao just stepping right on top of him, so no chances for Jimmy, and that's really quite painful for the Akali. You have a terrible laning phase, and if you don't snowball early, you are going to stay in that power trough.
Yeah, it's really about those first 2 team fights, being able to assassinate one of these backline targets. But unfortunately in that fight, because they were able to delete Koala so quickly early on, they don't have to worry about any other tank encroaching on their position. So they were able to just allocate 4 members to get rid of this Akali. That means Akali has to back off, hang out in her shroud, and hope that they...
Liang misses everything and does allow Li Kai to just open up onto him. Li Kai trying to figure out if this is actually some sort of a bait. He's actually not going to chase Liang. He's like, okay, there's no way Liang is actually playing this trade this poorly. So he keeps his distance.
He's not this dumb. There's no way.
Well, pretty good front by Liang. Pretty good front. I would have been a little bit doubtful as well. Like, if you look at what Li Kai is doing here, he definitely just assumes that the jungler is near, but Liang is going to chase him down. It should be able to get anything.
Well, still burns a lot of health and also delays the recall coming in from Li Kai. That's just the power of Tahm Kench with just steel cap boots. If you're able to get a nice juicy trade like that and then pull over towards the honey fruit, it's just such a massive win. And it looks like Mega Bank Beyond Gaming are very, very comfortable with their position right now. Have plenty of scaling, but Gemini trying to close the gap on Tamal. And again, like, there's a lot of execution power in this mid-jungle 2v2, but that's only if they get onto you.
Yep, just a little bit short on the Sonic Wave here, and still no takedowns coming in for Jimian. He's still getting checked out in this lane, and I feel like Mega Bank Beyond Gaming are very happy with the game state. They keep on going into lane. Machi, they need a big play somewhere and out-execute to come back into this one, and maybe they're going to find it against Liang. Gemini, is the back going to come in time? It actually does come back in time, so Liang, let's see if he decides to TP. We'll pop it onto a tower, and we have Husha rotating towards the top lane as well, so it's a little bit of gold going over to Gemini. But that will be all.
Yeah, not exactly the best target to get it on as well in that case. It does go into the hands of the Lee Sin. Lee Sin doesn't exactly scale as well as something like a Jace. And, well, Mega Bank Beyond Gaming still very comfortable. 2,000 gold lead, 13 minutes into the game. We're looking at a Mountain Dragon for our next dragon. That should be the next point of contention from both of these teams. Unless if they do want to get a little bit feisty here and use their teleports to try and collapse onto an overextended member. As Koala, he is searching.
Yeah, really good defend from Kino there. You can see him holding his ground in the inner tri-brush. If we look at the map, Beyond Gaming has a massive advantage in terms of vision around this quadrant of the river, double pinks, 2 backline TP wards available for Maoan in this case, but not Liang. And we'll see if Jimian can find anything. Husha is very aware that there could be an assassin in his jungle. He's going to pop the sweeper right away. Not going to fall to anything. And Machi, you know, they hang on throughout the tower plate phase. About 2,000 gold behind. That's still within striking distance if they get a good team fight, but they need to start getting these kills quick, and Doggo already with the Immortal Shield Bow is going to make that difficult.
Shield Bow going to provide a lot of sustained power, allow him to take some of that poke damage coming in from Atlan as well. Also prevent the execution factor from being too big of an issue. That being said, he is going to have some minions nearby when it comes to some of these siege scenarios or objective scenarios, just so he's able to lifesteal if he takes too much.
Zago does have to grab at him. Is going to open up onto Koala.
Good satchel.
The great satchel charge stops anything from going on. Really nicely done coming in from Atlan. And I'm kind of surprised by how slow this game really is. Machi finally looking for an opportunity to snowball things. They will start up on Husha, but Husha sidestep and flashes away to dodge the combo. But very possible that he would have died right there if any one of those abilities landed. Just going to make sure he's safe and deny the opportunity for Machi to find a pick.
And Machi are one of those teams that, because they like the 1-3-1, they're a little bit slower when it comes to getting out the gates. But
does get tagged down, but a great flash. Gemini doesn't get the kickback.
Wait,
and now Maoan stands his ground inside the ramp. Husha does tag Gemini, not able to get the second audacious charge. G-Man already pops both, uses a perfect execution, and Maoan finds the return kill right here. It's 1-for-1, both junglers going down, but Liang can pick up the pieces. Double kill for Maoan, one more tongue lash, doesn't land, but he still has the abyssal dive. Finds Lee Kai, gets very close to him, hook goes down, and that's going to be 3 kills on the side of Megabank Beyond Gaming. Traded back for only 1 on Husha.
Side of Machi, they're behind, yet they try and look for that Herald play. It was really poorly executed there, as it doesn't even take the flash from Maoan. Yeah, exactly. Like, he's just able to get around, and it's just a complete whiff of execution coming in from Gemini. Something we don't say that much, as usually he's the player that is most on point to try and facilitate these solo laners. That's going to cost him, G-Man, and Lee Kai their lives.
Even with some great plays as well, the death charge actually stops the second proc of the Sonic Wave from Gemini and costing him a lot of extra time. So right now, Megabank Beyond Gaming off to a dominant lead, 4,000 gold. No one is picking up the Herald just yet, but it seems like Beyond Gaming are going to change that. No contest on the side of Machi, and throughout all of this, only 1 takedown on G-Man doesn't feel like it's enough to get the Assassin's early.
Yeah, definitely doesn't feel like it's enough here. And because of how late Machi prioritized the dragons, whether it's starting out that first one or just obtaining the second one, it gives Megabank Beyond Gaming a lot of space to scale. They are going to be able to get all those items that you want onto the Orianna. We talked about in the previous game, like, you need 2 or 3 items onto this champion before she becomes super effective. But it looks like she's already getting to that point.
Is going to get tagged up. Husha goes right in, just forcing away G-Man from the tower. I feel like Machi have to make a stand at some point. Just can't keep losing ground here. Let's see if Machi finds the engage. 7th blade goes a bit wide. Doesn't find Maoan. Megabank get the second charge without any trouble here. Now rotating toward the mid lane. We do have Gemini coming in for a wrap, but can he dodge out on all the vision? That's going to be a big question. G-Man also starting this fight at half HP. Ooh, it just looks like Machi can't find a way into Megabank Beyond's backline.
Beyond Gaming, they're just playing super safe here, making sure that they don't overstep their bounds like we've seen a couple other times, such as Impunity today, where they do have the better scaling composition, and it's really on them to take the game a little bit slower. Make sure they ensure
Gemini from the sides. Oh, the Beyond Gaming fans are everywhere. They block the Sonic Wave, and again, no luck for Machi. It's going to get so incredibly hard. Their TPs are on their solo lanes, but their main initiation is going to come from Gemini. So he's not going to have any chance to do the wrap. You can tell Beyond Gaming, they're setting up great vision surround on these sieges as well. There's really no blind spots for Gemini to utilize.
Yep. And the big thing is, well, at the very least, they are able to burn the cleanse on Doggo. However, what it does mean is that they have to go straight back on cooldown to try and lock him down once more, because the cleanse is such a short cooldown when it comes to summoner spell. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Jumian going in directly onto Mawan, gets the flash, but that will be all. As Atlan also just tries to throw in some finishing touches there. Yeah, I like the play, doesn't find it. And now BYG, knowing that Jumian doesn't really have that much damage off, is just going to march in, as we do have Lushao taking a tower shot, but he's completely fine. Koala going down in, TP forced, and yeah, nothing happens.
Ends up being a 4v4 down in the spot side. Everyone just kind of staring each other down. No objective up available. It's just all for that bot lane tower. 80 seconds until Ocean Dragon and Megabank Beyond Gaming. They've just not been behind at all. As you can see from the 10-minute mark, it's just been up and up from there. They'll look to just kind of take things slow still. They can afford to be slow and steady, as there's just been not a whole lot of focus on these dragons, and that means they're going to have more than enough opportunity to dictate what kind of fight they want.
If the game state continues like this, is there ever a time where you just go, well, BYG's got just way too much scaling and the game's over? Like, we don't really even have to think about what's going to happen in the game next. Would you say like 30 minutes, 35? Like, what are we looking at as the exact time of death for Machi?
Oh man, that's... I would say... I feel like the time of death is coming sooner rather than later, because you look at Doggo, he's looking to get a Wit's End. Like, once you get that Wit's End, how do you kill this Aphelios with the magic damage from Ziggs and Akali overlapping? And try and find a hook on Atlan. That was a hook that I had PTSD about.
Yeah, that looked a little bit dicey coming in from Kino. May I suggest natural expiration? I mean, Doggo has lived for 200 years, given his colorless pick. As Koala is going to force the issue. Kino going in, but not full committing just yet. We have some poke from Lee Kai. It does nothing. Ugh, looks so difficult. G-Man is spotted out with this pink ward. Kino once again goes in, and we do have TK committing as well. This will leave the bot lane open here. G-Man goes in and does find Maoan. G-Man with the assassin play gets a double kill. That will force the issue, and they do find the Ocean Drake afterward. Lee Kai opening up, but Doggo is still alive. He takes a Sonic Wave, and he goes down just like that. Liang is trying to scurry away from the action, but he's flashing towards the wrong side of the map. There's nowhere for you to go, Toad. Where are you going? Come back.
Trying to burn as much time as possible. He should eventually go down.
Atlas says hello. Misses everything. Liang doesn't find the brush and will die here. Lee Kai picks up the kill.
And while they do get escorted straight to the Baron, unfortunately, Atlan's burned too much of his mana bar that they can't turn onto that objective right after. And this was one of the concerns, is when you're fighting in these choke points, both of these teams have great choke damage when it comes to try and push and force your way through these ramp areas. And it really just comes down to getting chipped down by the dragon. They end up overextending just ever so slight, and now the damage pours in. Demian, he gets a perfect angle, eliminates Mawan early on, and well, that's really all your defense for your Aphelios, because again, he doesn't have the Thresh. He has a Leona, or he has a Nautilus trying to protect him, and Nautilus is just not good at that.
That was so beautiful from Jimmy, and he watches as the cooldowns are used by both Liang and Kino, and he immediately just goes into the backline. It's like, well, you guys try to catch me out. You have no damage in this position. Your backline is now dead. Thank you very much. And I even said during the fight, it's like, I feel like Liang's going in too far. He really should be staying on Doggo and just using his Devour rather than trying to kill Akali. That was a bit of an overforce for Beyond Gaming. They still have the lead, but Machi see signs of life right now. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. And G-Man, with a couple of kills in his pocket, did get a double right there. Probably has even more chances to get the snipe off kill. See if he finds his way into the back line, as this fight looks like it's about to erupt anytime. Kino throws out the hook, doesn't get it to land. Yep, and Husha, this is a good find as he opens up on G-Man, forces away the shuriken flip. And Gemini now is the one hunting for the kill onto Dago. Machi definitely want to use this opportunity. There are no summoners on Dago. So it looks like they will be charging forward. G-Man starting things off with a bit of poke damage onto Liang. This is NA Ram at its best. I do think Beyond Gaming should just be trying to move into the left side of the river. Kino going to flash in. He does find the root down onto Likai, but pulls the composition a bit too far away and takes way more damage than he gives out. Now we do have Gemini in, but he only kicks Husha into the wall. So not the best attempt there with the Dragon's Rage, and Beyond Gaming get bailed out.
He wanted to get the execute onto Kino. However, even if he were, that is only the support. Teleport's raiding in though, as it is going to be a Baron fight. They're going to try and defend, push them off of this objective, but just way too much damage. That's secured. Now G-Man's in trouble.
Yeah, G-Man has to run out. Does use the ultimate. He will be fine for now. Very close call from honestly just both sides right there. As we did see Husha actually miss smite. But we're going to go back again into this play. See what really went wrong for Machi.
No goes in. It seems like it was going a little bit too far out, but when you do have this sort of composition coming in from Machi, you can't play the standard front to back. You have to take a lot of these flank angles, and Mega Man Beyond Gaming, they were just fully aware this time around. They have Liang prepared to peel for the backline this time around. And because of that, G-Man, he doesn't get the license to kill. And all he can do is just watch Gemini help himself to his death.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate from Gemini, the veteran of Machi. Just doesn't find the angle right there. Definitely don't think he wanted to kick Husha even. So we do have Beyond Gaming coming back into live gameplay with the Baron buff in hand. Should allow them to set up sieges. Do have a big 3-man stack in the mid lane right now. And Liang is going to be completely unopposed as he makes his way ever closer into Machi's base.
Yeah, and looking up and down the items right now here, Liang just an absolute stat stick here. He's got 2 completed items, one of them being that Thorn Mail, going to be able to tank up so much of these accelerated shock blasts. Likai has the completed Serpent's Fang, which is going to help a little bit because of how many shields there are in this BYG composition. However, it just means that if he tries to ever poke down this Tahm Kench, it's never going to happen. He doesn't have that Last Whisper item built up. Then just for the rest of Machi, you have Gore Drinker Sterix, so Gemini is tanky, but that's really all he is. He doesn't bring a whole lot of damage here. He brings sustain, but there's so much DPS on BYG. It's not going to last very long regardless. And G-Man got the Rocket Belt to try and go for an execute, and the Zanyas, but he needs more. He needs at least the 3rd item, that completed Void Staff, to even think about getting an execute, especially on Dago.
And it seems like he's going to be going for the Banshees first, so he has to block out something most likely from Kino at this point. Can't even go for the... oh, actually is switching up builds. Oh, okay, good call there. You actually knew the build better than G-Man himself. Is going to go for the Blighted Jewel instead, which is what you wanted to see, going to the Void Staff. So good call there from Nightstar. And it looks like Beyond Gaming, they are going to get a wrap on G-Man. Already 3 towers going down in this single Baron buff. G-Man pops the first use of ult, and then gets out with the perfect execution. Knows that he was surrounded. You could probably tell just with Liang showing up that there was more members from Beyond Gaming coming up. And this is the do or die push. It's going to be hard for Gemini to find flanking angles. He's trying really hard around this corridor, but Liang and Kino, they know their jobs at this point. They're just taking everything up, making sure Doggo doesn't die, and if they hold their formation, I don't see Machi winning this. It's so difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Machi to win a fight. Fortunately for them, though, if Mega Bank Beyond Gaming don't have the Baron buff, it's very difficult for them to actually siege because of how much wave clear is on, of course, the Ziggs, but also on this, on the Jace pick. So they're going to be comfortable in slowing the game down. But as we mentioned time and time again before, like, it's getting life's getting harder for your Kali. Life is already impossibly difficult for your Lee Sin, and your composition. It's just so much easier for the side of Beyond Gaming to play against your composition on the side of Machi.
I feel like once the GA or equivalent item is completed by Doggo, it's pretty much just lights out. It's so hard to kill Doggo twice when he has Devour protecting him, when he has the command Protect coming in from Mawan as well. So we'll see what Machi can do. They don't have any side lane control. They are forced into straight 5v5s. Gemini might be testing his chances against Kino, but Kino definitely the tankier of the two as we see the Shockwave being used. Gemini gets out just okay though, but Doggo has his eyes on Atlan and forces the flash. Kino again flashing in onto Likai. We have the ultimate coming down, but what is the TP going to do? Jimian in the middle of the enemy team composition. He barely gets out, but that's the Ignite being used on him. He goes back again, does not find Doggo. Aphelios is still firing upon them with nothing to hold him back. Liang gonna go in, doesn't get by the Devour just yet, but that's a lot of flashes burned from Machi.
A lot of flashes burned, and now it looks like the side of Mega Bank Beyond Gaming are turning their attention towards this Baron setup. Of course, it's not quite up yet. 20 seconds until that actually spawns. But now you're able to strip away some camps, set up the vision, and then when it does spawn, make sure that they don't get a very easy route in. However, with Dragon also up in 90 seconds, that might prompt them to look for a reset rather than commitment over to the Purple Worm.
We'll see which one they choose. So far, it looks like Beyond Gaming are sticking towards the top side of the map. Key thing for Machi here is definitely going to be flanking wards. They need to find a good angle in. They're lacking TPs at this point from Jimian. And, yeah, they've managed to get 0 wards into the river and beyond. So, good luck, Machi. Good luck. We'll see what they can do, what magic Jimian can pull out of his hat. But at this point, the Baron is up. Beyond Gaming's already on the objective, and they're starting it right in front of you. So, how is Machi going to approach this? Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult, but again, when you're stuck in the pit here, it could offer some good opportunities.
Kino does find the engage into the Shockwave onto Atlan, and Atlan just disappears. No damage being done by him whatsoever. That's a great 5-man kick coming in from Gemini, but it's not enough. No damage sticking onto Doggo. Liang still battering ahead. That's going to be 2 kills on the front line. Jimian left hit by himself. 1v4 in the enemy team. Not much that he can do, and Beyond Gaming are marching towards the victory.
They're just going to run straight bottom here. I don't know if they can just finish the game straight up, but you have Aphelios who is incredibly powerful, and you have more than enough of a wave to do so. So it just comes down to Jimian and Gemini. If they can cut the wave, or if they can kill Doggo, that is your only condition in stopping this game.
Kino even finds Jimian when he tries to go in. On the other hand, Gemini,
Mawan's very low.
Takes a huge chunk of damage onto Mawan, pops him into the Zanyas, and they will stay alive. Atlan coming out and resurrecting at the right time. Husha now in a lot of trouble. He doesn't go down though, so as the Zanyas, and Gemini might be faded. Jimian is dead, and that is no one left to defend the base. Atlan has to do it himself. 3 members still there. Finally, Beyond are going to call it quits here. They found the inhibitor. They are turning back towards the Baron instead.
I would assume they try and get both objectives here as they are sending Mawan towards this bottom lane. Please did your dragon. Please. Mawan. As we're going to see the replay, it is going to be Mega Inferno Bomb getting the vision. But because of that, Atlan actually walks too far forward, eats the hook straight into the shockwave, and it is just such an easy pick. That's the big pick that they're looking for, because that's so much of that DPS threat coming in from Machi. The rest of the DPS threats are very contingent on certain conditions, like G-Man being able to execute someone into the backline, or Likai being very cooldown reliant on that accelerated shock blast. So that just opens up the fight so easily for Megabank Beyond Gaming there, as they are indeed able to get all of the objectives. They get Dragon, they get Baron, and now they're looking to get the game and get that second seed.
Machi, they do have 2 kills onto GBN, but for his standards, this is such a quiet game for his Akali. We haven't seen just any ability to impact the bottom side of Beyond Gaming so far. They only lose that one team fight throughout the entire game. Been staying on top throughout everything. And once again, we are going into sort of end game setup where it's all going to be about the flanks. Gemini had a massive Dragon's Rage in that corridor earlier on, but they just don't have the damage to finish off. Like, Likai, he has some poke damage, but most of it is going onto Liang, and that's just so ineffective against his composition. Finally, the big death ball push is coming. Beyond Gaming going to go through the unguarded inhibitor. Liang just going to fight straight in. Has no regard for Machi. And the solar flare does land. We see Doggo being taken down to about 3/4 HP, but it doesn't really matter. Gemini trying to get the quick back. He only finds the target onto, I think, Kino, and that's not enough. Doggo's still staying very healthy right here. They do get the support in the end, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Beyond Gaming are just going to continue to march on. Doggo opening up onto the Nexus. Machi, you have to go out of your base and try to all in onto this one. There's some damage being taken down, but Doggo stays alive, flashes the PSG emote like he loves to do this split. And Megabank Beyond Gaming march on forward to an unopposed second place.
They're going to be able to secure that second seed, which means first week is going to be a nice relaxing week for them. Sit back, relax, and the more important thing is when you do secure one of those top 2 seeds, it means you only need 1 victory to put yourself into the upper bracket final, which gives you 2 lives to get to Worlds.
Yeah, and remember, the 2 teams that go into the finals, not like the winners bracket finals, but the actual finals. Yeah, the grand finals, both of them will head on to Worlds. So increasing your chances for scouting, getting closer to that, definitely the goal right here. I feel like this game was... I was a little bit disappointed by what Machi gave us, because it was a very similar game to what we saw in the regular season. Just Machi losing lane early and then trying to come back with a special pick that never really happens, and then Beyond Gaming just kind of walks over them with a superior laning phase, superior team fight. One mishap, and that was it.
Yeah, it was just one of those compositions that it requires you to be unreal in your execution, and if this composition succeeded, it would have been a very flashy way that they win the game. Just like how the one fight that they did get was very explosive, definitely highlight reel, but they needed multiple of those. They needed time and time again, just non-stop highlight reel plays, and that just couldn't happen against a Tahm Kench and against this Orianna, who was able to get out of lane scot-free and get her items that she needed to get in order to become that secondary threat.
Yeah, it didn't really go well, and it wasn't a subtle draft from Megabank Beyond Gaming at all. It was Aphelios first pick, Mawan on Orianna second pick. We're going for this comp. We don't care what you think about us. You know, you have bot lane counters? Okay, I'd like to see them. Didn't matter. You still got summoner advantages starting from level 2. So,
yeah.
You know, I think we're... Yeah, it's just... It's not really... and I'm surprised that Machi didn't, you know, try to counter a little bit more onto the top side. They flashed a blind Jace, and I was... They even had to ban for it, and they still have the Tahm Kench matchup.
Yeah, they still had to deal with the Tom Kench matchup. But what was really more baffling was the fact that we ended up on an Akali pick. There was definitely the option to go for something like a like the Lucian that I mentioned before that can really get priority in lane as well as a provide kill threat, and then you just kind of go around with this Lee Sin to try and apply pressure elsewhere. But they didn't go for it. They went for the Akali pick. They wanted to go for those really explosive first two team fights instead of the more consistent damage that a Lucian might bring to the table. And as a result, you saw it reflected in the build path from Doggo. He went for a second item, Wit's End. That pretty much nullified the impact coming in from both the Akali and the Ziggs. It was just too easy for Doggo.
Yeah, really wasn't touched throughout this entire time. We saw multiple attempts for Gemini kicks, but he got Husha once, and he got Kito the second time, so didn't really have the impact that he wanted for. Yeah, we got him. Can we call it mission success and just sail back home? I'm just kidding. You're actually still going to be in the Middle East for 20 years. I'm just kidding. That's my sadness as an American. As we come into the MVP, Liang is going to get that one. 1-1-5. I think not really the MVP we expected, but the entire team of Mega Bank Beyond Gaming played so well that I feel like it's really hard to pick one individual member.
It was really just a team effort there. Because of the fact that, I mean, you have to just provide so much attention when there is an assassin over on the other side of the map in that Akali, of course, and also just champs that need flank angles like that Lee Sin. So they were really just able to keep their eyes open, make sure that when those champs appeared on the flanks, that they allocated saved cooldowns for those two champs.
And now we're going to have a look at the final standings. This is already ranked from top to bottom. Our 8 teams going into the playoffs are going to be PSG Talon, Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, Machi, Boom, Taipei, J-Team, Hong Kong Attitude, Berjaya, and Liab. Unfortunately for Impunity and Alpha Esports, they will have to try again later. And, looking holistically, we only have one change in terms of who made it to playoffs compared to Summer and Spring Split, and it will be Liab actually taking away the spot from Impunity. They did it on the final day with the tiebreaker, so congratulations to them. Elsewhere on the standings, the only really big change is Boom Esports and Hong Kong Attitude making it up the standings compared to Spring Split. So holistically, you do have to say HKA and Boom Esports, their roster changes did pay off. They do find themselves in much stronger positions. Hopefully, they can do a little bit better. We will be going into the playoffs just 4 days away. Today is Father's Day is in East Asia. After a little while, we are going to start off with Boom Esports versus J-Team and Machi Esports versus Hong Kong Attitude. Just a reminder, the first round of the playoffs and the first round of the losers brackets will be played in best of 3s. The remainders will be in best of 5. So we will have 2 series in a day. Don't think that they're going to be separate days, okay? So mark the teams that you want to watch. Be sure to catch up for you Leah fans out there. They will be playing on the 13th.
Laying it out there already. I will be casting the Liab one, so I'm very thankful that my Liab fandom will put me on that broadcast. But you're gonna have a very hotly contested day 1 with Boom taking on J-Team and Machi taking on Hong Kong Attitude. Yes, Hong Kong Attitude, if you look at their record, is vastly lower than Machi's. But with the growth of Hong Kong Attitude and because of how slow Machi like to take their early game, I feel like this matchup isn't all far out of hand for Hong Kong Attitude to pull an upset.
I have to agree with you. Stylistically, it's actually somewhat easy to see Hong Kong Attitude being able to survive and maybe take a game off of Machi. I still see Machi as the overwhelming favorite right here. But yeah, that one's going to be very, very interesting. So you have, in terms of your upset box, Hong Kong Attitude maybe, or you think maybe just one game?
I would definitely give them a game, and it's, while difficult for them to take the series, if Machi continue to play this slow and Hong Kong Attitude keep getting things like a Gwen or Diana for a Kongria in this matchup, and he gets to 3-4 items, this is a very, very terrifying matchup for the side of Machi to close out.
Yeah, that could look incredibly dangerous. That's all the time we do have for now. Thank you everyone for being with us on the summer split. You know, it's been terrific to have all you brand new casters coming in. Pyra, of course, an old hand, but Nightstar definitely someone new we have on our team. And congratulations to Leah, the new addition to our playoff roster here. This has been the Pacific Championship Series summer split for 2021. The regular season is now in the books, but please wait on for playoffs. We are starting on August 12th, so put that in your schedules. Make a reminder for that one. We will see you back in the postseason.